And in transparency, I'm literally being empowered by money for the first time in my life in a way I never have, even as an entrepreneur for the last 2 decades of my life. This is something brand new when it comes to personal finances and it comes to me actually focusing on generational wealth versus on just legacy. Because I think people take legacy not wrong, but they can look at legacy as simply character. And like, I know I'm going to leave an incredible legacy character wise to my kids. I know that for certain. Wealth wise, I kind of have just been like, if it works and God does it, then God will do it and it'll be great. And that's the case. But like, I think my husband has always really carried that torch and I haven't. So that's why I'm such an advocate for women learning about it and not looking at it as it being difficult or not something that you have capacity to process. Not only I'm looking at it from a lens of protection. Like, are you safe? Are you able to maintain a home over your head?
Yeah.
What happens if something drastically happens to your husband and you don't have the ability? What are you going to do? I honestly, even just months ago, didn't even know where our investments were, what that even meant. I didn't know
Yep.
any of these things. And so it's kind of been a shaking in the midst of writing this or helping you publish this book. It's like God is like, watch what happens when you pay attention to what I'm literally giving you as a
Oh, amen. That's awesome. I love this. I didn't even know that.
I know you didn't.
I hear that so often. Like one of the things I hear most, I just had an incredible woman that was working with me and the stress of, my husband says I need to cut my expenses. My husband says I need to work more. And I'm like, wait, why? Do you know what your expenses are? No, why not? Like, let's go get your expenses. Let's go look at them. I don't even know our bank accounts or our passwords or our logins. Like so often in especially in like a traditional feeling marriage, it has been put on the husband to take care of all those things. Sometimes, and I mean, number one, you're not being a team if you're not participating as a team.
Good.
One of the things that has blessed my husband and I is from day one, we've been in this together and we've been, what is our vision? Where do we want to go? What does that look like? What came in? What came out? We didn't play this. You don't have access to my bank accounts and I don't have access to yours. We literally, this makes people laugh. But if I'm going to spend more than about $200, I call and ask, hey, are you good if I buy this? Because it's a respect thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I never get a no, but if I did get a no, I would not, like
Yeah.
it's just a matter of
Yeah.
just talking about it and being on in a team in this life. We have really thought, we lived, hey, everything needs to be covered by one of our incomes because should something happen to the other one, maybe it's me. If something happens to me, is he okay taking care of the kids, providing? But the more that real estate goes up in value and gets expensive, the more I realize how important investing early is because my kids can move into one of my homes and not have to worry about really high expenses going to college or whatever it is that they want to do, building a business. They don't have to also think, how am I going to make a $4,000 a month house payment?
Right.
They could rent it out to their friends. So with real estate getting expensive, the need to get in and like ride that wave up is what are they going to do in 20 years when it's hard for them to get in at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think coming back to this idea of simplicity and knowing that there are tools to support us. I was looking over like the index of your book, which I love. There's like the chapter outline, like you would usually see, but you'll also see an index and it has all of the different resources that are included. There's things like a mentor resource, a life road resource, getting clear, which is what we've been talking about here, 3 steps to freedom, your net worth tracker, which she addressed earlier, your money date resource, a red light, green light resource, an expense tracker. I mean, it goes on and on and on into a money flow resource, an interest calculator, and a way to stay motivated. And so there's compound interest and there's all these pieces that she hasn't left it out. And I think oftentimes trainers or experts, I'm air quoting here, or even coaches, they find one little thing and they teach on that one little thing, but they're not giving the full breadth of understanding, which is one thing I've really always valued about you because you're looking at it from so many different lenses and you actually are walking the walk. Like you actually are doing that as a mom, as a mompreneur, as a spouse and a partner. Talk to us why is it taking you this long to like get to the place of saying it's time for me to
I think maybe it's a midlife crisis. No, I'm kidding. Not true. I really had no idea that I had some kind of knowledge in my head that other people didn't have. For years, I was like, everybody knows this, right? Like everybody around me knew it. When you grow up in the real estate world, you feel like everybody around you knows these things, which then you later find out is not true because most real estate agents don't even own their own investment properties. A lot of times they don't even own their own. But I'm kind of one of those people that walks through life a little oblivious on rainbows and butter. Like I'm like, oh, everybody knows this.
This is true, you guys. I'm not just saying that.
I love it. It's the way that I am. I can't help it. But so one of the things that I think is a big need in life is you have to remove yourself from the people who think small and put yourself in an environment of people who think big, who are doing what you want to do. You hear that all the time, of course. I really took that seriously, and I wanted to level up my life, and I placed myself in rooms that scared the living crap out of me. And I was like, there is no way that I'm going to offer any value to this room. I'm just going to go be in it, and I would absorb knowledge and I would grow. And so I did that. I still do that. But one time I was in this room of people making millions, and my mentor and friend who helped me, to put these ideas down on paper, said to tell them what you bought last week. Tell them. And he started going through every investment that I think I'd ever told him about. I didn't even know he listened to me. And
Good mentor.
The funny part was I was like, wait, what? And I was totally embarrassed because I'm in the room with people making millions and like big business owners, who were outperforming me as far as income. And yet I had more passive income. So that meant I got to work less and enjoy life more than these people who are making more money than me and hustling, not knowing how to make their money. And when I walked out of that room, I was like literally dumbfounded because they were like, can you teach me how to do? And that was the moment I was like, I actually didn't know that I knew something different than all of these people. I thought they were smarter than me, stronger than me, faster than me. And it dawned on me that nobody's like, I lived in a really blessed place where somebody planted these seeds and showed me the craziest ways to buy real estate and come up with passive income. And while they knew how to sell real estate, back to my grandmother's first quote, when she told me, you don't make your money selling real estate, you make your money buying and holding real estate. And nobody had taught them that. And that was eye-opening for me. So then I realized I would go to these conferences with wonderful, God-loving humans who are going to give up their lives to go do good for the world. And the comment over and over and over again was, we will do this, like we're committed, but we don't know how to fund it. Right. And it was like, oh my gosh, these are the best humans on the planet and they're out to do wonderful things and nobody's taught them how to fund it. So those two things really put me on a mission to, Kristen, open your mouth. It's not anymore about, are you embarrassed? Are you scared? It's about, you have a responsibility.
So good. That last piece, I think, really lands home for our community of all the things that have been said, because the other stuff can feel like cumbersome. Remember, this is the simplifying way to do this. So let's not stop there. Let's get curious about this last piece around generosity, which is something I just have always honored about you. Not only because it intrigues you and people will give away millions, which you haven't technically done, but you are doing it in a really profound way because of the legacy connected to each name, each household, each woman. I know you have invested in a like mobile home park. And this is one of my favorite things. Like, these people wouldn't be able to be in other places, and you've created a safe place for them. And I know the generosity that sometimes that means they're not paying rent when they should be paying rent. And there's a frustration connected to that. But your heart for people and to see people thrive is so profound. So for the people listening who are connected to these big missions, these big movements, these desires to do ministry, and they are like penny, would you say this is like the invitation to break free from that penny pinching life?
Yeah, it's always driven me crazy that churches and people on missions have to beg for donations, and it's really hard. Nobody wants to donate anymore, partially because they don't have any money. They're living off of credit cards, but also I think just burned out on always being asked, being asked, being asked. And so I think the beauty of the concept of doing it, like building wealth through passive income through real estate, and then you can bless and give, is really freedom. You can go do whatever mission you want, and it's self-funded. You don't have to, if people do give you money, if there's, fundraisers, awesome. But you don't have to go beg for money, and it's not your limit anymore. Your limitation is not a lack of money when you do it this way.
Well, I think the enemy has such a control over money, and like the lens of greed being one side, but then the lens of poverty being the other. And so it's like, how do we get into a place of safety, really believing and seeing that God is the God of provision, as we talked about at the beginning. And that does take activation on our part, and it does take risk. I think that that's people are fearful of, that this is too risky of a thing because now I'm not going to have this. But you have to, like you said, look to the future, look to like, what are you risking now to get something later? And that patience play is so powerful.
And I think I always tell people, don't bet the farm.
Yes.
Yeah. We always had a rule in our house that we would risk anything but the roof over our head.
That's so
because the roof over our head protects our children.
Yep.
And so, and the other thing is, like, it doesn't have to take that much risk, but you do have to be disciplined with your money management so that you have some money to risk, or you're willing to risk your time. A lot of our wealth was built trading time because somebody else had money. And so we would use our brains and our knowledge and our phone skills to do things like I did 17 manufactured homes on land, knowing nothing about it when I was doing it, by partnering with a friend and mentor who he had the funds and didn't want to do that work. And I'm like, cool, I'll do that work. You fund it. And then we both made great money in it. And so hustling to make income such that you can create passive income through real estate, eventually the second half of your life gets to become, where do I want to give it away? I have for probably 20 years driven around with a little fortune cookie that says, you will always have everything that you need, God. I added the God part, but